Hey folks, it's the end of September. I haven't posted for a dog's age and a half, but it's harvest time. We've been harvesting for quite a long time, but we had 2 light frosts the last 2 nights, and it's calling for a really hard freeze tonight. Now, really hard freeze would be 0 to the -1 range. So we're out in the garden today. We're wide open. We're pulling everything out of the garden. We don't have anywhere near enough tarps to get everything covered up that we have, so we're pulling everything that we can. And here's just some of the last of the tomatoes. That's a half-bushel basket almost full of tomatoes. We're thinking of making a salsa, and then some green tomatoes that are left that we might make into a chow. These old Dale. Oh, I should pan around and show them ugly mug to everybody. It's still the same. It's just as ugly as it ever was, and that thing you just seen jumped up on my shoulder was my cat. Get off my shoulder. And he's been keeping me busy this summer. It's been a really busy summer. And one of the things that's been making it a busy summer, I'll get back to the sweet potatoes in a bit, but there's my sweet potato. That's one of the things that's been keeping us busy. This here's a little fellow that we call Duncan, and he is now stay still. He won't stay still long enough for me to ever get a picture of him, because he hasn't stopped moving since he was born. But he is a wire-haired dachshund, and he's a ham for everything. He's a ham for the camera. There's no way he's going to ever, don't be smudging my lens now, there's no way he ever stays still long enough to get a picture of him. But that's my little boy. He's 6 months old now, and he's been just a riot. He's been as fun as anything. Running around looking for the sunspots. So this may be a bit of a long one, but I'm going to go around and show you a bit of what we're harvesting and some of the things in the gardens that did well, some of the things that didn't do well. This here's my sweet potatoes. This here's the biggest one out of the bunch. You can see the rest in the basket. They're a little mixture of everything. These would be some that I'm going to have a few that size, but then of course some only turned out this size. I don't think we have the season for sweet potatoes. It's just not long enough growing season for sweet potatoes. I put in these as early as I could. They were in full sun. They were under black mulch, good ground, and the frost is coming hard tonight, and they're supposed to pull your sweet potatoes before they frost. So for what did I do for slips? I think I paid close to $30 for the sweet potato slips to plant. Time you bought the plants and paid for the shipping and got them here. I think if I would have went out and bought $25 worth of sweet potatoes, that I probably would have filled that basket. So I probably won't be growing them anymore. The gardening space is too valuable. Oh, some hot pepper jelly. We made a batch of hot pepper jelly. We really like hot pepper jelly. And these are hot peppers. These are jalapenos and all kinds of different things. My peppers, I didn't grow that many hot peppers, but oh, who was it that inspired me to overwinter a pepper plant? Which I did. I overwintered a pepper plant, and I finally got one to survive through the winter. And I have probably a dozen or so pulled off it already. But look at the pepper plant. To me, it looks like a little Christmas tree with all the red blooms onto it. I think it looks just fantastic. I thought it grew really great. So overwintering a pepper. This is a 2-year-old pepper plant. Well, it would be 2 years old probably in about this March coming, but so 1.5 years old pepper plant. I don't know if I take it inside if it's going to do anything or not, but it grew really good this summer. And I'll show you around some of my garden. Over here, onions were a failure this year. Not a complete failure, but they didn't do very well. There's some leaks, some small leaks. I have bigger leaks down in the other piece that's in the garden. I have some small leaks there that's left that, oh, they'll probably do something. This here's nice tall corn, but this was popcorn that I started growing. This was popcorn. And I don't know if it's going to mature enough or not. I'm going to leave it on there and see what happens. I don't know if frost hurts corn that much. I think they're quite well protected. Potatoes had a fantastic potato harvest this year, and I'll show you some of my potatoes in a bit. But a great potato harvest. Just got the pumpkins pulled out, and I kept my own seeds from a pumpkin that I had last year. So I never grew a zucchini, or a courgette, I think they call them in the UK, but I think one of my pumpkins must have cross-pollinated with a zucchini, and that's either a punkzini or a zoopumpkin, one of those. There's some of the pumpkin vines and potato vines. Had a great harvest of potatoes. Here's some of my containers that I haven't pulled in yet. There's Charlotte and Cara in these containers. You can see the one Cara in the box still nice and green. Caras, they stayed green for a long time, grew like a devil. I was hoping last year I grew what seed I had. I really only got to try one Cara or two, but not enough to know if I really like them. I thought they were quite a nice tasting potato, but I would have liked to had more, but I saved all my seed for planting this year. So I said, this year I'm going to have a good feed of Cara. Well, I had my containers here planted and 1.5 rows in the ground, and when I harvested my potatoes probably 2.5 weeks ago, I looked at the Cara, looked underneath the hay. They're beautiful Cara potatoes, but the plants were nice and green, so I said, I'll leave you guys for another couple of weeks. Well, I come out here the other night and went to harvest them, and then the mice eat every one of them. This here is my Cara harvest that you can see right here. This was it. And this here was a leftover Charlotte potato, but the rest were Cara. And the sad thing was, I had looked at it 2 weeks before that, and all the potatoes were there and they were fine looking. I left them for 2 weeks and the mice just decimated them. So my hope in Cara is in the box and in the grow bags over there. So I'm hoping those, I don't know what those are going to be yet, but I'm hoping the plants are really good, and you can see by the stalks on them that they grew really well. So I'm hoping I get saved and have a few to eat this year and still enough to plant next year. Hope it's not too windy on the camera, because we got quite a brisk north wind blowing today. This was my onion harvest. It wasn't a total loss, but we had such wet weather in June that the weeds got a head on to me in between my onions. Of course, by July, by the time it dried out, it was a wet, cold June. And by the time it dried out some in July, the weeds were so hot and heavy in the piece that every time you pulled the weeds out, onions are so shallow rooted that you pulled the onions out with them. So I just left them. And then I went through, when I looked to see the onions are dried off, and knocked the weeds down and pulled out what onions I had. But there's a bushel basket there, so it's still like any garden, and we say it's a loss, but it's not a total loss. I wouldn't have had that much if I didn't plant them. And there's another little piece of the garden. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots of garden this year. I probably had a little bit more than what I should. Some of you know I got injured this winter, broke vertebrae in my back this winter, and I was quite a bit in recovery. I probably wasn't feeling decent until May, but the worst thing was, right in the height of my injury in February, is when all the seed catalogs land. And well, I was all laid up and infirmed and couldn't really get around much, so all I did was sit there and pick through the seed catalogs and plant my garden, and I think I got a little too excited. And I planted way more than what I could handle, so I'm going to have to scale back and plant a little smarter next year. because it was just too much garden. I work for a living. I'd have to retire in order to take care of my garden, which may happen sometime in the future. But the orchard is starting to grow some. If you notice, the trees are suspiciously bare of leaves on the bottom. I've had some deer that were traveling through early in the summer, and they kept feeding off the bottom of my trees until finally I set up enough can traps and stuff around that it scared them off. Oh, Brendan, I know you had mentioned one time about liking beets and row of beets. My better half was just out here pulling and sorting some beets, and well, I say that the beets, I think, turned out pretty fantastic. Look at the size of some of those beets. She likes beet greens. She's sorting and grading different sizes right now, because we're going to put some down as a pickle, and just as a pickled beet. And then she likes just eating beets, like stewing them and eating beet fresh and raw. I guess not raw because it's cooked. I don't care for them that much, but I might get to like them. Hard to say. But there's some beautiful beets. I've grew a variety this year that the green, it has a really good green, and the green stayed healthy looking all summer long. I mean, if you could take, this is the end of September, and if you look at that green that's there, you could take that and pick that and have that as a stewed green right now. It'd be delicious. So that was a really good variety. I'll grow them again. Nice, good, red, round beet. But yeah, fantastic looking beets. We had pretty good success all over. Cucumbers just went crazy again this year. I planted a smaller cucumber patch this year, and everybody in the family and everybody in the community was sick of seeing me come with bags of cucumbers. We made all the pickles that we needed in the first 2 pickings, and I've picked it dozens of times since then. And I'll cover it up and see if I can't get a little batch of baby dills out of them. I grew some long cucumbers this year. I hope I'm not rattling along too fast, or I hope I'm not rattling along too slow, but I'm rattling on. You see, some nice cucumbers. I actually grew so many. Now, we call these English cucumbers. In England, I don't know what you call them. I don't know if you call them English cucumbers or you just call them long cucumbers. But here in North America, we call them an English cucumber. So I had great luck with them this year. I picked bags of them. I only planted them in a little tiny spot here just to see if they'd grow, because I never grew them before. But I had fantastic cucumbers. I had so many that I was actually bagging a few bags up and selling them to one of our local restaurants. I never thought that would happen. I'm going to show you quickly onto my corn. The fuzzy stuff you see growing here, that's all asparagus, which we never got to eat much this year, but next spring coming should be a really good asparagus year. They're just getting to the point that they're 4 years old now and just starting to mature out nice. This here's my sweet corn, and I have to say it's a little late, but my, isn't it lovely sweet corn. We've been eating this. No, if I can get that top off there, excuse the leaves for a minute, but look at that. We've been eating sweet corn now for about the last 2.5, 3 weeks, and it is lovely. There's no bugs in it, there's no ears in it, there's no earwigs in it. It's just lovely sweet corn. I don't think the frost tonight is supposed to hit 0, but I think corn's quite well protected. But as it starts to mature here, we're gonna go through and we'll harvest it. Last year we had enough corn put away and frozen that we didn't buy any corn all winter long. We didn't buy corn probably till midsummer. A few turnips, rutabagas, Swedes, whatever you call them. It grew okay, nothing fancy. This here was another potato piece that I put in. Oh yes, quickly I'm going to show you my potatoes. Little golden cherry tomatoes. If anybody likes a small cherry tomato that just grows like mad. Golden cherry. They're a great tasting little tomato, and I'd pick them. Oh, I have 3-liter baskets that I'll pick them in, and I'll come out and fill up a 3-liter basket in no time at all. But potatoes, let me show you some potatoes. I grew Charlottes this year, which are an early salad type potato. I think it's going to become a favorite, but I thought they grew really well. This may be getting a bit long-winded, but it's a bit of a catch-up. Where are my Charlottes at? Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I think they're just a beautiful little potato. They're smooth, they're fine tasting. My wife, she's had them a few times so far. She just loves them. She thinks they're great. And they are lovely tasting. So I have all kinds of seed this year, and actually all kinds for eating this year. So I'm going to be quite pleased. And I grew our Chieftains potatoes this year. Best year of potatoes I've ever had. All good size, all clean as a whistle. I mean, just look at that. More red potatoes. Yukon Gold potatoes up in here. More Yukon Gold potatoes over there. More Chieftains over here. Another bucket full of Chieftains. No, these were Emoja over here. Getting a little green, a few on the top. I forgot to put the cover onto it. Boys, you want to have your potatoes in the dark. They don't like the light very much at all. So more Emoja over there. I have some more that I haven't even got put away yet. Over here, there's 3 more. If you can see through that mess, but I got 3 more trayfuls of potatoes. So, all kinds of potatoes. Getting a little hurried and a little rushed here in the end. But, have a great one, everybody. I'll catch up later with the garden, but we got to get going because we got a huge lot of harvest yet to do before the day is out, and going to a campfire tonight. So, have a great day, everybody, and happy gardening.